It is 8:10 in the morning in Tehran, a Saturday. The city is barely awake. Street vendors are setting up, children are walking to school, and in a walled compound in the heart of the capital, one of the most powerful men on earth is sitting at his desk. His name is Ali Khamenei. He has led Iran for 36 years. He survived a bomb in 1981 that permanently paralyzed his right arm. He survived 4 decades of sanctions, assassinations, and Western pressure designed to remove him. His bunker is so deep underground that the elevator alone takes more than 5 minutes to reach the bottom. This morning, for a reason nobody fully understands yet, he is not in the bunker. He is at his desk. 30 Israeli jets are already in the air. To understand February 28th, 2026, you have to go back 3 years, because what ended with bombs over Tehran actually started with a cascade of events that dismantled Iran's entire regional architecture. After October 7th, 2023, Israel went to war. Hamas's military leadership was systematically dismantled. Then Israel turned to Hezbollah, killing its top commanders, including Hassan Nasrallah, who had led the group for 30 years. Iran's Syrian ally, Bashar al-Assad, collapsed and fled to Russia. The so-called Axis of Resistance, the network of proxy groups Iran had spent decades and billions constructing, was being stripped apart. Then, in June 2025, the conflict crossed a line nobody had crossed before. Israel struck Iran directly, hitting nuclear enrichment sites at Fordow and Natanz. The United States joined in. 3 Iranian nuclear facilities bombed in a single operation. Trump declared them obliterated. Khamenei stood at a podium and delivered a message to the world. Iran would not submit. He had said that before and survived. This time, the world wasn't so sure he would. By late 2025, the pressure on Iran was immense from every direction. The nuclear program was set back years. The economy was in freefall. In December, protests erupted in all 31 provinces, the largest unrest Iran had seen since 1979, driven by rising prices, unemployment, and the accumulating exhaustion of a population that had been living under sanctions and instability for a generation. Washington watched and simultaneously deployed. 2 aircraft carrier strike groups moved into the region: USS Abraham Lincoln in the North Arabian Sea, USS Gerald R. Ford in the Eastern Mediterranean. 14 guided missile destroyers spread across the Gulf, the largest American military presence in the region. At the same time, diplomacy was happening quietly in Oman. The US laid out demands: a full halt to uranium enrichment, capping the ballistic missile program, ending support for proxy militias. On February 27th, Oman's foreign minister announced Iran was close to agreeing. A deal seemed within reach. It wasn't. At 2 a.m. on February 28th, Trump posted on social media. The strikes had already begun hours before. For months, the CIA had been doing something extraordinarily difficult: tracking Khamenei. After the June 2025 war, he had become almost completely invisible, rarely seen in public. His personal security was among the most sophisticated on Earth. His underground bunker at the compound was designed to survive a direct strike, multiple decoys, rotating routes, a security apparatus that had spent 36 years learning from every failed attempt on his life. Getting to him was considered by most analysts impossible. Then something changed. Intelligence picked up a scheduled gathering. Senior Iranian officials meeting at the compound on the morning of February 28th, and Israeli surveillance confirmed what no one expected. Khamenei was above ground, at his residence, at his desk. The window was minutes wide. The decision had to be made immediately. Israeli jets had been in the air since before dawn. The timeline was accelerated. At 8:10 a.m. Tehran time, 30 bombs struck the compound, one after another. A daytime strike that military analysts immediately described as one of the most audacious operations in the history of modern warfare. Satellite images showed the compound leveled, black smoke rising over the center of Tehran. Iran's foreign ministry announced within the hour that Khamenei was safe, then went completely silent for 16 hours. In the early hours of March 1st, Iranian state media confirmed it. The supreme leader was dead. His daughter, son-in-law, grandchild also killed. His wife died from injuries 2 days later. 40 days of national mourning declared. A government that had governed for 47 years was suddenly without its center. Tehran split immediately and visibly. In some neighborhoods, crowds gathered in grief, mourners carrying portraits, people collapsing at shrines. In others, something different happened. Cars honking, people dancing, statues coming down in Isfahan. Footage spread across social media of Iranians celebrating publicly, something that carried an enormous personal risk in a way that hadn't been seen in decades. The Iranian diaspora in cities across Europe and North America came out into the streets. In Washington, Trump announced the bombing would continue throughout the week. Netanyahu called it a historic day. Around the region, Iran's military responded. Missiles struck American bases in Qatar, Kuwait, the UAE, and Bahrain. Explosions reported in Riyadh. The UAE military announced it intercepted 137 missiles and 209 drones in the first 24 hours alone. France called an emergency UN Security Council meeting. Macron warned of grave consequences for international stability. The entire Middle East was moving simultaneously. Removing Khamenei was not the same as removing the Islamic Republic. The Revolutionary Guard still controls vast military and economic infrastructure throughout Iran. The Assembly of Experts must now appoint a successor. Iran's opposition is fragmented and has no obvious figure waiting in position. A nation of 90 million people is now without the man who made every significant decision for 36 years. Nobody knows what comes next. Legally, the operation itself is contested. Trump launched it without congressional approval. Multiple constitutional scholars have described it as a unilateral act of war with no clear legal basis under US law. Iran's president called it a grave crime against a sovereign nation. The UN debate is ongoing. What is clear is this. For 36 years, Khamenei was considered untouchable, not because no one wanted to touch him, but because the operational difficulty was genuinely considered insurmountable. The bunker, the security, the decades of careful protection built around a man who already survived a bomb that cost him the use of his arm. He was brought down not by an army, not by a revolution, not by the protests that shook his country, but by a single piece of intelligence, a satellite confirmation, and a window of minutes in which he happened to be sitting at his desk, rather than 5 floors underground. The elevator would have taken 5 minutes. History turned on that.